Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. To borrow a line from The Truman Show, no idea when you all listen to this, but it's a nice Thursday morning here. I'm tired. I watched the Huskers volleyball team, and if I would have listened to the numbers that I looked at, I would have known that Wisconsin would have owned us.
Right, in regular 3 sets, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
swept.
can't-
Yeah.
It's bad when you can't even buy a set. Screw the game or the match. I can't even buy a set.
Yeah. The
It's-
Wisconsin coach looked like he lost the entire.
Oh, my gosh.
But he won.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked like he was mad at every play, every point they scored. Like, how do we just get that point?
Yeah. He's a heck of a coach.
Yeah.
In 10 years, he has built himself a heck of a program. On a sad note here, we're missing Roger. His grandma passed, so in honor of her, let's give her a few moments of silence. Our thoughts are with you, Roger. We're going to jump into the NCAA football and Big Ten specifically. Huge matchup with number 13 Penn State at home, hosting a very tough Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, and the only hope you give Penn State is they're at home. Ohio State's scoring about, 50 a game? And
no, they're averaging above that.
Right, but I mean, their last 4, it's right around 50, I think. 49, 50, 51, somewhere in there.
Oh, I see. Okay, them specifically. Yeah.
Right.
I was looking at the actual overs total.
Oh, no, just them themselves. And Penn State plays really good D, but their one blemish on their record is Michigan, and they gave up 41. So, I mean, they're only giving up around 17, 18 a game, but yet, obviously, when they're going to lose, they gave up a lot. So 15.5 points for this spread. At Penn State, I give them a little bit of love, but man, I really think Ohio State covers, unfortunately.
I think they do too. I went down the rabbit hole and looking at everything, and the last 5 Ohio State's covered. They covered at Iowa. They covered at Michigan State. It was a push at Rutgers, but they won by 39.
Right.
They covered Wisconsin. They won by 31. And Penn State's played some tough teams. Minnesota, Michigan. Michigan beat them by 24.
Right, and it was good early, and then, yeah. That Michigan-Ohio State game is going to be really good this year.
It will. Roger was very kind to send us his picks again, and he picked Ohio State. There's no way that, looking at all the numbers, that I can go against Ohio State. So that's who I'm taking as well, is Ohio State. I look at them to continue covering and continuing to get the overs. The overs are set at 62. Penn State can put up some points.
Right.
And we all know Ohio State can put up some points. So again, I'm not a betting person.
Right.
I just scream when I lose $1.
But you can see a 49-20 game, and that's pop right on the overs right there. So,
yeah, 49-20 would be 69 points. So I would take Ohio State in the overs just by the numbers and how they've done. So you're on board with Ohio State?
Yeah, and this is one I, of course, don't mind losing, like some of my other picks. But if I'm picking to win, yeah, I'm definitely taking this one.
Yeah, even though they're on the road, Ohio State, it's appeared this year, doesn't matter if they're on the road or at home. If you look at their last 5, Ohio State crushed Michigan State on the road. And the rest of the ones that I looked up, Iowa was at home and Rutgers was at home and Wisconsin was at home. But I don't think it really matters where they play this year.
Mm-mm.
They're 7-0 for a reason.
Yeah.
Moving on, staying in the Big Ten, everybody's shocked a little bit by what Brent Bielema has done. I'm personally not shocked. The guy's an amazing coach. It proves to me that he didn't have the athletic department's full
buy-in.
Yeah, support. It didn't look like they supported him for some reason.
Yeah, there wasn't his choice or their choice to pick him, but he was the one picked. Yeah, Well,
'Cause
we're talking about why he was in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Well, no, Arkansas, when he went to Arkansas.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Because he won with Russell Wilson in Wisconsin and did an amazing job. But I don't think Arkansas gave him the support. And he threw a little shade at him in an interview. I can't remember if it was at halftime or after the game, where he's talking about, he's like, well, I have the athletic department's full support. It's something that you don't always get, and I appreciate. They're always behind me. They're always supporting me. And it shows.
Yeah, and now he's throwing a little bit of shade, but he's also saying, hey, thank you. Look, with the support when you give it to me, or another coach that when Lovie Smith was there, you have to give the coach what he needs if you believe in him to do the job and get it done.
Right. And that is what has allowed Illinois to be ranked 17. They're coming to Nebraska, which Nebraska has had its issues this year, this last decade. But
and it'd be nice coming off a bye, Mickey. We don't know how well they'll be ready and all that. But the bad thing is Illinois is also coming off a bye.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right. Illinois is favored by 7.5. Nebraska has been fairly decent when it comes to getting close to the spread in most games. But I don't see them being anywhere near the ability to cover that 7.5. I think Illinois blows us out of the water. We have the over set at 50.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't even touch that. It might be right around that.
I agree with you. I crunched the last 5 games numbers for Illinois, and their overs, they only covered the overs with Wisconsin somehow.
Yeah, they put up 34 points.
Their point total when they played Iowa was 15. Their point total when they played Minnesota was 40, so that was a push. But I think they come out with a win, and I think they cover the 7.5 points. So I hate to say it, having been a UNL alum, Illinois comes in and covers the spread in Nebraska.
I'm not 100% sure they cover the 7.5. That means obviously they're win by 8 points. I liked how Nebraska kept it within 7 with Purdue, even though, again, we probably should have won that game. But we still have that factor that this guy has outcoached, but it was outcoached in Scott Frost. I still don't know how well or how average if Mickey Joseph is. Very small sample size. That Purdue game should have been a win, but man, I have so much on the fence. I can't. I'm going to take Nebraska. If you're giving me 7.5, I'll take Nebraska.
Yeah, and you make a valid point.
I think Illinois wins.
Mickey Joseph hasn't been able to pick his staff. He was brought in by Trev Alberts, who he replaced Moose.
Right.
And so Trev Alberts wanted to make his change. And you see those changes happening at the previous year when he restructured Scott's contract. And I don't know this 100%, but I feel that he said, I want you to go out and get these 2 guys.
Right.
Because that was his setup. He's like, I need to have somebody here if we have to let you go.
Right.
And Mickey Joseph, I have 100% faith in you, Mickey. You were great as a player. I feel you're great as an assistant coach at LSU, what you've done. You can bring top talent with
Trey Palmer.
He came along because he loved you as a coach. And what our offensive coordinator did at Pitt, Whipple, he's doing a great job here. And I've seen him do some great stuff coaching on the sidelines when he's told the quarterback straight up, then take an F and timeout. And I read his lips when you could see Casey Thompson shrugged his shoulders and is like, oh, I didn't know what to do, coach.
Right.
Then take a timeout.
Exactly. Thank you. So in that Purdue game, I was given some information this past day or so. A certain network went through that game film on the Purdue. And there was an offensive lineman for Nebraska that whenever he was in the 3-point position, they ran the ball. And when he was up, they passed. So they were literally telegraphing the play call. Which is, I'm glad they figured it out, and they're going to probably hopefully make that adjustment now so future teams won't get to pick that up. But, because when you watch that game, you're like, man, we really could not run the ball. And that might be one of the big reasons. So if we get that shored up and we get that tail sign out and we can get on the ground and keep Illinois on the sideline, again, I still think Illinois wins. But I like to say it's a close, good game.
I hope so too. I didn't hear that report. That's very interesting that someone went through all the game film and watched that and then picked up on, hey, they do that when he's in the 3-point. They do that when he's not in the 3-point.
Yep. And I'm wondering, is because how ineffective, why were we so ineffective at the run and probably watching it and then all of a sudden caught X person, oh my goodness, wait a minute. Yeah, and then put the 2 and 2 together. That's the only way I could think of that somebody had to go back to the film and say, wait a minute.
Has this lineman been starting the entire year?
Yes.
Oh, boy. That's a bad look.
Right, and I don't know it was in every game, but it was definitely in the Purdue game.
Yeah. Illinois, Nebraska, ABC, 2:30. If there's ever a chance for University of Nebraska-Lincoln to start winning, I would love it to be now, but Brent Bielema has his team just playing lights out right now.
Comes back to the Big Ten and says, I'm back, baby.
Yeah. Well, of course, he should. He's a great coach. The Ohio State-Penn State is an 11 o'clock game. That is on Fox. Our Husker game is on ABC. Moving along to the Big 12, Oklahoma State, number 9. Kansas State, number 22. I emphasize that. Why, James?
For some reason, at home, I get that they're at home. I get it. And it's college football. But somehow K-State is a 1.5-point favorite, even though what Oklahoma State not only done this year, but what they just did last week and handling a very strong Texas team. I mean, your quarterback's throwing for over 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, and only 4 picks. And, let me take a little gander here.
Well, that's my question. Is Adrian Martinez going to play? Is he going to start? He was pulled because he was a little banged up, so then they brought in the backup.
And he played really well.
He played great.
I give him that. But, Oklahoma State's 40 a game. Their only loss is a double overtime, too. Oh, yeah, by the way, the people winning the Big 12 right now in TCU. So it's not like they have a bad loss. That's a quality loss by 3 points in double overtime. And, yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer. You can call it upset, whatever you want to call it, but I'll take OK State 10 out of 10 times in this one.
I will, too. And you're giving Kansas State a 1.5-point edge. Roger picked Oklahoma State. James is picking Oklahoma State. And I'm picking Oklahoma State. Yeah, I know they're on the road. And, yeah, I know Kansas can be tough, or Kansas State, I'm sorry.
45 points to 28 points a game offensively. And like you said, if Adrian's out, nothing against the backup, but, can he put up 35 points? You have to put up 35 to beat Oklahoma State. Or hang in there with them. You're going to have to put up 35.
Yeah, they've both played TCU. Kansas State lost by 10 to TCU. Oklahoma State lost by 3, like you said, in the double overtime. To me, that when you look at a game where they've both played the same opponent and Adrian Martinez was the starter, they lost by 10. Even if they bring in the backup, I still think that Kansas State doesn't cover. So
right.
All three of us went with Oklahoma State. Now, the one thing that I would do is take the overs. The overs are at 56, but Oklahoma State has put up huge numbers every game they've played. They haven't missed an over in the last 5 games that I looked up. Now, Kansas State can score a lot of points as well. They've missed a few overs, but with their points in Oklahoma State's offense, I don't see them missing the overs unless something crazy happens, which Usually does every week.
Did you see LSU, Mississippi State?
Yeah, there is always something that happens crazy. Moving to the SEC, number 19, Kentucky, and number 3, Tennessee. At home. Favored by 12.5.
Yeah, and I think that's dead on. Hooker, Tennessee's quarterback, still only has 1 interception. I hope I'm not jinxing him. Playing, Heisman quality quarterback right now on a very winning team. Beat Alabama, obviously. Kentucky comes in strong. I'm not saying they're a bad team in the SEC. They don't have the quality wins yet. So Tennessee, I think, covers this pretty decent at home. Put one on Kentucky here.
Yeah, Kentucky lost to Mississippi on the road, and they lost to South Carolina at home. And it makes me wonder how a 2-loss team can be still in the top 25 with a loss to South Carolina, but then they turn around and they beat Mississippi State. So it kind of makes sense, but I don't see them getting out of Tennessee with a win.
Right.
James took Tennessee, Roger took Tennessee, and I am all over Tennessee to cover by 12.5.
Roger is taking points this week.
Yeah.
Last week he was all diving in on those unders. I got you, Roger. I see what you're doing.
Yeah. The overs are set at 62.5. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that one.
I don't know about that one, but it could definitely happen. But I'm not a betting man.
Right. I could see Tennessee putting up 35, 38, maybe even 40 points, but I don't know if Kentucky puts up 20.
Yeah. Tennessee scored 38 against Florida, 40 against LSU, and 52 against the number 1 or number 2 ranked team, Alabama.
Right.
They can absolutely ball. Their offense is amazing. And you fell in love with their receiver.
Oh my gosh, Hyatt is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want to say Randy Moss, but when I watch him run and puts his hands out there and palm everything, because he's a big, tall receiver, not lanky like Moss was, but man, he reminds me a lot of Randy Moss.
Alabama typically has some of the best cornerbacks, defensive backs in NCAA for the last few years. Nick Saban understands that, you have to score points, but you also have to stop them.
Right. When
all these teams do have amazing quarterbacks, and they couldn't.
They had zero answer no matter what adjustments they made. Hyatt got his.
It was a relay race a little bit, whoever had the ball last, and, Tennessee outscored you.
And Tennessee got a key stop.
Yeah.
Huge
stop when they needed it.
Yep.
Stopping. Well, the Bears stopped the Patriots last week. We're jumping to the NFL.
I can just see 55 bookies in Vegas right now rolling in money that people put on the Pats over the Bears. And the Bears should have put up a 40 spot. I agree with you, Peyton Manning. When you have a chance to put 40 on the Patriots as the Bears, you run it in the end zone and not down it at the 5-yard line.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. I also didn't see the Bears trading away Quinn.
Right.
Why?
You still have an outside chance to, put your division's not bad. Not good. So you have a chance, but it's almost like they go, we're just going to build for next year. Solid 4th-round pick for him. Again, it's for my rival Eagles, which sucks because now they do get a really good quality pass rusher, but Dallas doesn't have to face him this week against the Bears.
Right. They don't have to face him, and that makes the 9.5 points that the Cowboys are favored by, I think. I almost used the L word, a lock, but Dak Prescott, this is only his second game back. He didn't look in rhythm with his receivers. Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott got it done, but also their defense stepped up huge.
Oh, yeah. So, it's not a secret. I'm not a huge Dak fan. I think he's a very good quarterback. But once again, the difference I saw in Coop being the quarterback and Dak, it's not throwing it deep. It's holding the ball when you have guys open. And they showed a stat or they're showing the highlights on some of the shows. He's thrown into double and triple covers. Detroit should have had 3 picks easily. They just don't practice catching the ball, I guess. But right underneath, 6-7 yards shorter, was a dude that wasn't covered as they doubled up the deep. You got to take what the defense gives you. I know we hear that all the time from the quality quarterbacks and the elite. I'm just taking what the defense gives me. I'm just taking what the defense gives me. Yes, that deep ball will come. It will be there. Let's move the chains first, especially, early in that game. 12 minutes to go in that game, it was 10-6. The game was still in doubt with Detroit on the 1-yard line to take the lead, and then the game flipped from there. So, yeah.
The Cowboys won by 18. They did cover, but the Lions were hopeless in the second half.
Right, yeah. The turnovers in the fourth quarter, all of a sudden, the ball they couldn't hold on to it.
What I learned watching what the Patriots did against the Bears was that if you rush Fields, he's actually better because he can escape tackles. He can get out of the pocket. If they're running routes, he has all those defensive backs down the field. Had the Patriots not rushed him as hard,
forced him out of the pocket,
I think they might have had a better chance.
Yep.
So with Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yep, Dorrance Armstrong.
Do you contain him?
Yeah, I'm hoping the game with Philly and Jalen Hurts gave them kind of a playbook to play with Justin Fields. Similar guy, same thing. Hurts, you rather him throw the ball than ad-lib, run around, throw it down the field when the receivers break free. So, yeah, I'm hoping it's more of a contain, put a spy on him, and then hope that the corners lock it down on the other side long enough to get that sack or pull him down. But the other thing is when you got him, you got to pull him down. I mean, he broke a few tackles from the Patriots where you're like, oh no, there he goes. So
it's better to be lucky than good sometimes. A famous coach had mentioned this. And the Bears were so lucky that they didn't lose any of the fumbles.
Oh, good. Right.
So can they carry that luck with them?
I hope not.
So, yeah, James, are you taking the Cowboys? They're favored 9.5.
Yeah, I think they win by 10 easily. Obviously, I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm really believing in that defense more than the offense. And no, they won't be able to get away with those fumbles. And I think the corners for Dallas are better than the corners at New England. So I will take Dallas in that 10 and 9.5.
In the last 5 games, the only team that the Cowboys haven't covered the point spread was the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts soundly beat them.
Right.
I shouldn't say soundly. They lost by 9. That was a great game. They just didn't cover because Philly was favored by 7. The overs were 42.5 against Philly, and they both teams ended up putting 43 points. I personally wouldn't touch the overs with the Bears and the Cowboys, but I see the Cowboys winning. James sees the Cowboys winning, and Roger also picked the Cowboys. If you could buy down the overs to maybe 40, would you do it?
Well, so Detroit, we figured they're going to put up 15, 18 points at least or whatever. They only got 6, and they have an offense. So to me,
the Bears have a great defense, but they lost. They traded one of their guys away. We know the Cowboys have a great defense. That's why I'm putting my opinion that is buy down the overs. Just
because I don't know, does the Bears even score 10?
Yeah, they could. They could.
You're right. I mean, there's been some games.
The Patriots and the Jets. Jets are coming off a fun week they had last week, and the Patriots are coming off an abysmal loss at home against the Bears.
And somehow they're favored on the road. They're on the road, right?
Yeah, they're on the road. They're in New York, and they're favored by 2.5.
Right. Now, I do know it sucks, as I thought we had a Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year in the Brees Hall running back for the Jets. He's unfortunately gone for the season with a torn ACL. Bad news. And they lost their starting guard, I think, for 4 or 6 weeks. Another injury. I still like the Jets, mainly because I'm not saying there's a quarterback controversy, but the fans have fallen in love with the Zappy. But by the way, he hasn't thrown for 200 yards in a game yet. Mac Jones a little out of sync.
But isn't Mac Jones starting?
I don't know. Either one, I don't think their offense is that dangerous that I don't think the Jets have to worry.
I don't think the Jets have to worry either.
Yeah, I'll take the 2 points and give me the Jets.
2.5.
Easily.
Roger actually took the Patriots. He feels possibly that the Patriots are mad and Belichick's going to organize a win with his team and get it done on the road. And you're taking the Jets. I
like Flacco. He's been around a while, but I think this team's a better team with Zach Wilson. They still have great young wide receivers. And I think their running game is going to be just fine. It won't be as explosive without Hall, but I think they get it done, especially against a New England team that the Bears just ran all over.
The Bears did run all over. And part of that was when you flushed Justin Fields out of the pocket, he made you look just ridiculous. It is bad that the Jets lost their. He was looking like the rookie of the year, wasn't he?
It's early. It's not even halfway yet, but yeah, he almost had it locked in. I don't know if anyone else was producing to the level of him.
The Jets, Dwayne Brown, offensive tackle, has been in the league for a while. An amazing offensive lineman. He's questionable. If he's out, that could make a huge difference. And their guard, Tucker, is on injured reserve.
Yeah, so it's 4 to 6 weeks right there.
And potentially Vegas looked at the running back being hurt. Do they have somebody that can step up and actually get it done then? We'll find out. I'm going to take the Jets. I don't see them losing at home to the Patriots. The Patriots are just
right. If it was in New England, I would maybe lean. Okay, well, maybe. But even though the Bears just beat them there, but at home, the Jets, and they're flying high, whatever the Eagles call. I'm not trying to steal that. I'm just saying Jets are playing really good football right now.
Yeah, the Patriots lost to the Ravens 5 games ago. 4 games ago, they lost to the Packers, who really don't know who they are yet. Yeah, they beat the Lions. Who cares? The Browns, they won by 23. That one made no sense to me. They were favored by 2.5, and they go, you know what? Let's put up a lot of points.
Let's go ahead and score this game.
Yeah. And then the Bears lost by 19. So at home.
Right. And the Jets have beat Green Bay. They beat Miami. Granted, I don't think Tua played that game, but still.
Right. They beat Green Bay by 17. They beat Pittsburgh by 4. And 5 games ago, they lost to Cincinnati by 15. But I think anybody could lose to Cincinnati when you have Burrow putting up the numbers he's putting up this year.
Yeah.
All right. I picked the Jets. James picked the Jets. And Roger is the lone Patriots.
The lone wolf, Roger.
Yeah. Moving on to the Giants and the Seahawks. In Seattle.
This has potential, I think. If I'd have looked at this on the schedule, first week of the season, I'd been like, okay, no one wants to watch this game. This game has a lot of intrigue to it, mainly because it's at Seattle, so I give them a little bit of a nudge. But you got 2 teams that no one expected to be where they're at right now.
No one bet on Geno Smith except for Geno Smith.
No one betted on Daniel Jones and the Giants. New coach, new staff. And I know we say that about Denver, but here we have a new. And, man, dude, they're rolling.
Roger picked the Giants. Seahawks are favored by 3. Whew. I don't know. I'm going to take the Seahawks because they're at home, mainly because the 12th man still exists. That stadium can rock.
It's true. Yeah.
That stadium can put up so much noise.
Right. And so they lost Penny, Seahawks did last week and a half ago, whatever it was. And then that rookie came in and goes for 150 his own. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, Giants probably win this. because they don't have Penny anymore. But now Seattle has a brand new rookie running back who might steal Offensive Rookie of the Year playing the last half of the season if he keeps it going. Obviously, we'll see what he does against the Giants. But the Giants have Saquon Barkley. They have Daniel Jones, who, by the way, I know Aaron Rodgers likes to talk about his receivers dropping the ball. No one's dropping the ball like the Giants receivers. I mean, I can't even name a Giants receivers. That's how, who are they? They are. But Daniel Jones is finding ways to win as opposed to Green Bay finding ways to lose.
So to validate your point, they're averaging 176 yards passing on the season compared to Geno Smith's 240, I'll round up, 245 yards a game.
Right. And yet they're 5-1.
Yeah.
So on your phrase of defense wins, I'm going to take the Giants on the road. It's only 3 points, but they might, so I'm getting 3. Okay, yeah, so definitely, give me the Giants and those 3 points because I might need them.
I think you will need them. The Giants have been pretty good at surprising people this year. And you hit the nail on the head with a new coach and nobody expecting Daniel Jones to do anything.
Right. I mean, Green Bay and Baltimore, granted, they're not super great. They beat both those teams. They just beat Jacksonville, who started off hot and has cooled off a lot lately. And, the Bears that we talked about, but you just have to score 20 to beat the Bears.
By the numbers, your pick of the Giants is actually pretty on. They covered against the Jags. They covered against the Ravens. They covered against Green Bay. They covered against the Bears. They didn't cover when they played the Cowboys. They lost by 7. So right. Your pick of the Giants is pretty good. Roger picked the Giants, and I'm the lone Seahawk. So
and I can't. And like I said, I think this is going to be a really good game. I hope it is. That
I think it will be.
Forth, I think it's going to make good for whatever fans they are. I think they're going to get a really good game here.
Even there's been games that you've said, "Oh, that's going to be a snoozer." Well, it's a defensive battle. And some people don't always like that. They like to see a lot of points. But I kind of enjoy watching the players on the offensive get frustrated by just an amazing defense. So right. On this game, I would actually look at the unders.
Right. And when I mean a snoozer is when the teams don't even make it to the 50 in the first half, or you get 2 field goals because of a bad punt or a big punt return or something. I mean, as a fan sitting in the seats, it's almost like a pitching duel. Okay, yay, we struck out 7 times, but can we at least put the ball in play? Can I get the second baseman to field something and throw it over there? But when you're going 3 and out, and you see the punter for both teams 5 times each before halftime, to me, that's not good football.
The overs and unders on this is kind of a crapshoot. And the reason I say that is that the Seahawks, you don't know which team's going to show up as far as defense. Do they show up, or the offense, do they show up? For the Giants, the last 5 games, they've only covered the overs 3 times. And the Seahawks have covered it 3 times. So for me, that's actually a stretch, because if you look at all that, they have a better chance of covering the overs. But I don't think they will this game. So I'm taking Seahawks and unders.
So what's the over-under on punts for the game? Because I want to take the overs.
Now we're getting into prop bets. Do they have the how many punts in this game? I know they have some crazy prop bets when it gets to Super Bowl.
Right. I don't know. I haven't been to a sports book in a long time, but that would be my thing. Hey, can I get the over-under on punts for the game?
It would be interesting since they've allowed gambling. I haven't looked at a full sheet that a casino has put out for sports gambling. I bet there is how many punts.
Right.
So that's an interesting stat to look at. Packers and Bills. Packers have a decent punter. They've punted a lot this season.
The Bills have no idea. I think twice he hasn't shown up to the game and no one even noticed.
They grabbed a guy out of the stands and say, "Hey, you're punting." Go, "Oh, okay."
Oh, crap.
Yeah. The Bills are at home, favored by 11.5. The Packers, this is about this time they start playing. but this year they don't have Devontae Adams. Or not.
You're right,
Okay.
Adams. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. But normally by now we would have seen a semblance of them playing well to get there. I mean, they just lost to Washington. That would have been a game they won, maybe close, and we're like, okay, they're getting in their groove.
Tyler Heineke had an amazing game against a Green Bay defense that looked like they took Somonex and fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah. I mean, you have losses to the Giants, then the Jets, and now Washington. That's not a team going in the right direction. I think this point spread is a little lenient, and then you always have to put the Aaron Rodgers factor in there. But, it's NFL, so I'll just say it again and again. I know people are like, yes, we get it, defense wins. Bills' defense is unbelievable. Look with Kansas City.
Oh, they won by 4, and the line was at 2.5. They held the Chiefs. The Bills held the Chiefs.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Their defense.
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
Green Bay doesn't have the weapons that they had to face against Kansas City.
No.
Granted. So
Von Miller getting traded to the Bills. I applaud that guy because I'm a Broncos fan, and I just like to see him do well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still amazing. And I also applaud the Broncos in trading him to get some value out of him.
Right.
I would have liked to have had him retire and play his entire season, but I understand the business model and what they're doing.
Yep. Now you just got to hope as a Bronco fan they make good on those picks. But yeah, to me, this is one, and I can't say no brainer because that's why we play the games. I do take the Bills and the points. I don't think the Pack get very close.
No, the last 4 games the Packers haven't covered.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm. And there's already turmoil when he's calling out people. And I have no problem. I don't know if you have to do it in the media, but you need to say, hey, if you're not playing well, maybe it's time we start taking you off the field. If you're not going to make the plays and do all that, but I don't know who option B and C is.
That's interesting. So I'm going to go in an opposite direction of what you're saying. You're saying set down some of the receivers. Maybe Jordan Love is loved in the locker room, and if you set down
Right. I don't think it's all the receivers' faults. No, 100% I don't.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Right.
But what I'm saying is if they bring in Jordan Love and he is liked better than Aaron Rodgers, the receivers try harder.
Right.
Interesting predicament that the Packers have found themselves in this year.
I think they need to get back. I think so when Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, when these guys are running an RPO, do you think that defensive end is even worried about you keeping that ball? No. So for some reason, Green Bay is doing a lot more of this shotgun play action thing, and the defense isn't biting because they could care less if Rodgers takes off. We're going to catch you. We can turn around and catch you. So I think they need to get Aaron Rodgers back under center. He has some of the best play action hands faking in there. But you're taking that away when all these teams all of a sudden go to shotgun. Get him back under center. Let him do his magic underneath and slip of the hands and get in better rhythm. I don't think his rhythm is as fluent when he's in shotgun as when he's under center.
I agree. I'm just, while you were saying that, I was tabulating how many times the Packers in the last 5 games have hit the overs, and it was only 3. And now I'm looking at the Bills, and they have only covered the overs once, and that was against the lowly Titans, which I didn't envision the Titans not being that good this year, but that happens. So it's an interesting look here. The Bills are favored by 11.5. I think the Bills cover all day long. James thinks the Bills cover all day long, and Roger took the Bills. But when it comes to this over set at 47.5, I see the Bills defense holding the Packers, and I don't see them hitting 47.5.
Right, yeah, because Bills do a lot of lengthy drives. They're not explosive. They're not like Kansas City. They're going to score in 2 plays, 3 plays. Bills take the ball and they drive. They wear you down, and they're going to use a lot of that clock.
I love that you bring up the clock. Roger has made a point while we're at work a few times about the old school, and I think it was Sega Genesis football games or some other game. And he said, you know what? I would make my friends mad when I would play them on football because I would take forever and I would use up the whole clock. And then I would give them the ball back with maybe 20 seconds left and they'd be mad. And I'm like, well, this is how the game's set up. You use the clock and you win.
Right. Yeah. As long as my offense is on the field and yours is not, my chances of winning are really good.
Yeah. Unless you have an amazing defensive scoring team, which the Packers don't.
Mm-mm.
So.
And every coach will tell you, limit the possessions the other team has.
Yeah.
You know, the Purdue game, back to the Nebraska thing, they ran almost 100 plays for crying out loud. Come on.
They did.
So.
They did. At times I enjoy the hurry up when you have the momentum, and at times when you give up a lot of interceptions or fumbles and a lot of clock to the other team, it just drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Crazier. I'm sorry. Crazier. Dolphins and Lions in Detroit, Motor City. Lions.
I know this wasn't originally on our list because you have the 4-3 Dolphins with Tua back and the 1-5 Lions.
Yeah, but and this was a game that you wanted to put on.
Yes, because, again, not that we put bets in or anything like that. I don't have any insight. But this is my upset of the week. I see the Lions going down there, playing the defense that they played against Dallas. Very similar style. You got Tua and Dak probably very similar in style and playing, being able to move. Don't really look to runs when they have to, but, try to throw the ball deep. Yes, Tyreek Hill is going to be a different animal than CeeDee Lamb or Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm hearing right. I don't have some schmutz in my ear or something. You're saying the 1-5 Lions is your upset pick.
Yes.
With Dolphins favored by 3.5.
Right, yeah. And, don't even give me the points. I definitely think Detroit wins this straight up.
Well, that's fine. Dolphins are favored by 3.5. If they win straight up, they still cover.
No, the Lions.
Right. The Dolphins are favored by 3.5.
Oh, yeah. I got you. Yep, my bad.
No, it's all good.
But I mean, if the Dolphins only win by 2, I would still win if I got the 3.5. But I don't think I'm going to need the 3.5 points.
If the Lions lose by 2, they still win. If the Lions lose by 3, they still win.
I think they come out of here with a very big W on their record.
Yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins all day long. We've seen that the Dolphins can still put up points even with their number 17 quarterback. And I know that was an embellishment of how many quarterbacks they've gone through this year, but I'm taking the Dolphins on this one. Yes, the Lions have a good coach. Yes, I think they're headed in the right direction. Yes, they can play some defense. Yes, they've lost some close games.
But they put up points. Minus the Cowboys game, they can score.
They lost by 29 to the Patriots. They lost by 18 to the Cowboys. They lost by 3 to the Seahawks. They lost by 4 to Minnesota, but they covered because Minnesota was favored by 6.5. And the one win is against the hapless Commanders that have been in the news headlines, unfortunately, almost every day or every other week.
Right.
And they won by 9. So I see a lot of teams being able to beat the Commanders, and why Green Bay couldn't. That's a whole nother podcast. But the last 5 games, the last 3, they haven't covered. But yeah, you pick it because it's going to be your upset. I get that.
Yep.
I get that.
And I'm 2-0, so I'm just going to add this. Maybe I'll go 3-0 on the year.
You definitely could. You definitely could. The Dolphins haven't been very good at getting to an overs mark. So, in my humble opinion, neither have the Lions. I'd take the Dolphins and the unders. The overs are set at 51.5. So they're thinking Tua might just go off and have 30, 40 points himself, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm thinking a 27-31. 24-33 type game. I could see it getting real right up, just over the overs.
They definitely could. They definitely could. Tua can get it done. There's nothing that kid can't do, except when he's in concussion protocol for 2 weeks.
Right.
I don't want to see that guy get hit again the way he has been thrown to the ground, and it's brutal to watch any anybody getting taken off the field on a stretcher. And my heart goes out to you, Tua, that you're still playing. You're still going out there and getting it done. That shows me you have the mindset of the youth that you feel you are
invincible.
Invincible, exactly. And
I read and I watched 3 or 4 different opinions, not even just in his in Florida. He went to couple different states, got other what they call professions in that field, or their top, the top guys in those fields, and talked to them and got their input, blah, 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 blah. And for the most part, they gave him the green light. But to me, if he gets a single concussion anymore, my opinion only, if I'm the head coach, I'm sitting him for the year. I'm getting with the owner, the GM, like, hey, let's sit him for the year. Let's get, whatever we can do for him. And then next year we'll bring him back and see. But, we talked about it last week. I think some people are built and they get concussions easier than others. I mean, we've seen guys go through their whole career, not a single concussion. And then we see guys that get it from a normal tackle, and you're like, it didn't look like it hit his head that hard, and concussed.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there's certain people that can hide the symptoms better.
True.
And I just don't want Tua to get hurt and he can't play anymore before he's past his prime. And it's a game, but it's a game that makes you millions of dollars. So I also understand the monetary drive to continue to play. I get it. And as a competitor, you don't want to sit. You don't want to sit there and watch.
Right, but either way,
which is detrimental.
If they say, hey, don't play another down before his career got started, it's over. Or they say, yeah, go ahead and play. But if you get another concussion, you're done. So either way, if I'm Tua, I'm like, hey, well, let me go down shooting. I'll give it one more shot. But yeah, if I get another one, then, my career could be over. Luke Kuechly for Carolina is a prime example of that.
Switching gears to the NBA, speaking of done, Lakers.
Yes! Oh, sweet music to my ears.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're both Celtics fans sitting here. I like it when the Lakers are good because I like to see good matchups with the Lakers and the Celtics. But I don't like to see a team go out of its way to push somebody out, and by that, RW, Mr. Westbrook. Even the LA Times hates him.
And you know what my problem is? He didn't play last night. They didn't even score 100 points.
Hamstring.
They shot abysmal like they've been shooting. So who do they point the finger at? You know what I'm saying? So I get you want to have a scapegoat, and that's all Russell Westbrook is at this point, is a scapegoat. He is a superstar, all-time all-star, blah, 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 and he should be playing better, but no one on that team's playing good. No one's feeding off of anybody. But to point all the fingers at him and he's going to be the cure-all once we trade him is ludicrous.
The Lakers shot 26, I'm going to round up, 27% from three-point land, 44% overall shooting percentage.
Let me add some numbers to you on that.
On the road in Denver, and this is how bad it is that the Nuggets team only shot 46% overall and 27% from behind the arc.
Right. So the Lakers are shooting 20-some percent, 22, 23 from three-point land on the season, right? The next lowest team, let me rephrase that. Every other team in the NBA is over 30%. Through the first 4 games, Lakers has to have the lowest shooting percentage ever from three-point land in NBA history through the first 4 or 5 games.
I actually have to give LeBron James props. He had the high tally in assists. He had 19 points in 35 minutes.
8 turnovers.
Sure. That happens when you're trying to do everything yourself.
I guess.
Davis had 22 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. Patrick Beverley was in because former Celtics, I think just about every other team, Dennis Schroeder, was out. He had surgery.
Yeah, he's going to miss a little bit of time.
So I think they're going to miss him a lot. So I brought up the Lakers because they're currently sitting at 0-4. They played the Nuggets last night, and then they have to go and play the Nuggets again but this time at home on Sunday.
Right. They do that home and away thing. Yep.
I don't see
any changing.
I see them losing again. They lost by 11, and that was in Denver, which is a tough place to play, because if you're on the road and then you have that elevation change, it's tough if you don't train. If you don't train at that elevation, it's an interesting thing here. So I don't know what would make the Lakers better. What do you think would make the Lakers better?
Trading all three of them. It's impossible, but I would trade LeBron, AD, and Westbrook, package in a deal, get me my young star players.
Gosh, you'd get
and some picks.
So many players.
Right. That's my thing, is because right now your season's done. There's nowhere in the West, even if they slide into a play-in game, which I don't even think they make the playoffs or the play-in.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that, because that is so much cap space. You could go after a lot of people.
You would get young again. You could almost do what Golden State, Philadelphia, and the Milwaukee Bucks have done. Build through the draft, a couple young players that you get in trade, and now you're good for 7, 8, 9 years and competitive. There's some stars out there that you could go get. But now, granted, on the flip side of that, no one wants those contracts for those three guys because you're paying them more than what anybody else thinks they're worth.
Now, conversely, there's a team out there in the Utah Jazz that no one expected to win. And
name a superstar on that team.
So their head coach is Will Hardy. And he's quoted as saying, we don't have the superstars. We have role players that understand their role and are forced to work together as a team. And that's what they're doing. No one in particular is expected to go out there and get 30, 40 points a game. Everyone is chipping in, sometimes in different games. And it's potentially an unfair comparison because you don't have those big names with their chips on their shoulders like LeBron, like Anthony Davis. And unfortunately, Anthony Davis is really good, but sometimes he can't stay healthy.
But isn't it easier for a defense when you're going in and I have Steph Curry, I have Giannis, I have LeBron. Okay, our defense, we're going to double team this way. We're going to play off of this way. We're going to come off of this guy. You come face a Utah Jazz team in which the Celtics have this thing, the same thing is we really don't have a superstar. Who do we double off of? No. But guess what? One of those guys that we're going to be guarding out there is going to get hot, and then the whole team is going to get warm, and we don't know who to stop because all of them are scoring now.
And you make an interesting, valid point. So you need the defense to stop them. And I thought the Lakers did a great job in holding the Nuggets under 50% shooting overall for the night. But you don't have anybody that can put it in the hoop consistently.
Well, yeah, they're definitely playing defense better this year than they did last year. But is that at the detriment? You know, because what they say, they say, oh, make Michael Jordan play defense. And in the playoffs, the Celtics were like, hey, we got to make Steph Curry chase us more, try to tire him out on the offensive end. So are they spending so much energy on the defensive side that they're not making shots, which doesn't make sense to me, but something's happened. I mean, they really flipped it. They went from being able to score a lot but not defend to now they're defending well and all of a sudden forgot. Maybe they did all the defensive drills in the preseason and forgot to score.
Jumping to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are my early season favorite to go and win everything. Giannis is just possessed.
I have them winning the East. There's some strong stuff out there in the West. So right now, if I had to make a pick, the Bucks seem the strongest team in the East, and it's really not super close, to be honest.
I want to see what the Bucks do at home Saturday against the Atlanta Hawks. I think that'll be a good test for them to see what the Atlanta Hawks can do.
So we talked about the Lakers in the West, and their equivalent to me in the East is Brooklyn. Everyone's giving Brooklyn their praise, blah, 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 Brooklyn East. So they played Milwaukee last night. Again, didn't score 100. Team shot 25%, or we'll round it to 26% from three-point range. The only one that showed up again was Kevin Durant, which we know that's the way it goes. Their savior, Simmons, he actually finished the game, didn't foul out. He did get 4 fouls, but he didn't foul out. 2 for 7, which that's what they're going to get from him. Kyrie Irving, 0 for 7 from three-point land, following it up with an 0 for, I think, 8 the game before. So their only reason they're not in the news as much is because the Lakers are the Lakers. And So somehow the Nets are happy
but
that the media hasn't jumped on them yet.
But something changed for the Nets last night. The Nets outscored them in the second, 35-18, and then Nash gets ejected, and then somehow that makes Giannis mad, and he goes off, and he ends up with 43 points. Kevin Durant ended with 33.
Right.
The Nets were in this, though, until the half.
Right. And yeah, because in the third quarter it flipped. Then it was 35-21. Yeah. So whatever was said in the halftime, they're like, wait a minute. Again, Giannis can take it over. I mean, when you look at not a whole lot of superstars, they got some decent names over there. But, I mean, Brook Lopez is still doing it, still balling. And you're like, I don't even want that guy on my team, but you don't want him on the other team either.
No, you don't. You don't. Milwaukee, watch them. And if you want to see what the Nets continue to do or don't continue to do, watch them for comedic value.
Right. And yeah, if you want to watch a team that's probably could compete daily in the West, watch the Milwaukee Bucks play basketball. It is really good.
I'm going to briefly mention some boxing. Roger brought up some boxing stuff last week. I'm just going to touch on this. Mainly because he's from Omaha. Terrance Bud Crawford is ESPN's #1 welterweight, potentially pound for pound. And he decided to not wait for Errol Spence Jr.'s fight because his camp...
Thank you. Good call, Bud.
Yeah. His camp realized that the PBC, the Premier Boxing Champions, weren't going to allow the Errol Spence fight to happen until the 2023 year. So he wanted to fight this year and have a title match to defend his title, and he chose 34-year-old Russian who's number 10 welterweight ranking by ESPN.
A Russian named David.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say his last name wrong, but Avanesyan. He's boxing out of England. He's had 17 KOs, 29, 3, and 1, and he's characterized as a power punching pressure fighter.
Oh, nice.
So
good test.
Yes, and Bud even says this. He's just like, this is going to be a good test. This isn't just a walk-away match that I'm going to come in and I'm going to power over this guy. He's a great power puncher.
Right.
But then at the end, he said, well, when I do get past him, I'm going to be ready for Errol Spence Jr.
Oh, you got to be confident.
Oh, he's an amazing, confident boxer.
Right. But every boxer, you're in there by yourself. If you go with any doubt,
you're done.
We know what happens.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, though, that Bud couldn't get this done without going pay-per-view. But I know he always tries to push to have it not pay-per-view. Unfortunately, this one is on pay-per-view. I've never heard of BOK Network. They're kind of new to the game, I guess. But they've been quoted as saying, we want to be a boxing outlet. So pay-per-view, check it out if you can find it at BOK. Or it is in Omaha, December the 10th at CHI Health Center. So if you can get tickets, I highly recommend it. Bud Crawford will put on a show, guaranteed. The guy is an amazing boxer. Moving on to Major League Baseball playoffs. Wow. Who expected the Phillies to get through the wild card, much like the Cubs did when they broke the curse and won it all?
Right. And, you fire your coach, I don't know, what was it, 20, 30 games into the season, and you rally around the guy. For whatever reason, they didn't mesh with Girardi. Okay, that's fine. But they, again, a team that didn't even get 100 wins, played extremely well when they had to. Play-in game or series. And then, they beat some quality teams in the Mets and the Braves.
What little I watched of the Phillies games, it was amazing how they did what they needed to at that specific time.
Yes.
I remember watching Bryce Harper take his first pitch yard after the previous batter knocked in a home run. And I'm just like, wow, he is dialed in.
And then...
and I've made fun of the kid before for being a prima donna crybaby, and now he's just kind of turned the corner.
Yeah, he's still a prima donna. I don't know about a crybaby. He's definitely still a prima donna.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. But that Padres series, they get the lead early. Padres take it over late in the 8th inning, and he hits one. Just hits, I think, a 2 or 3 run homer to lock it up, and they win it in the 9th to take the series. And I'm just like you said, they're getting the hits when they need it. Now, again, okay, let me say this early. For the baseball fans that already know this, I'll say it to the people that really might not know it. So the Astros, when they got to the World Series against, oh crap, who was it? They were the favorites going in. Well, they were the favorites going against the Braves, and bullpen let them down. The couple years before that, they're the favorites going in. Man, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank, probably because I'm on the spot. Anyway, same thing. Going to favorites going in, pitching staff, blah, 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 let them down, and we're outscored.
Here, I'll give you some time. Look it up if you want, because I find it interesting that we are in a Thursday, and why do I bring this up? It's Thursday. Philadelphia has chosen their pitcher in Aaron Nola, and the Astros still haven't. They're undecided. ESPN showing that it's undecided. Fox is showing probable pitching. So that's a guess by Fox. Fox is guessing Verlander, but ESPN won't say it because they are actually undecided. Now, for the season, Aaron Nola's ERA is 3.25. In the postseason, his ERA is 3.12. He's struck out 18 players. He's allowed 16 hits in the postseason and 2 home runs, and allowed 7 runs in 17 innings. So you break that down to the 17 innings, he's struck out a little over 1 batter per inning. He has allowed less than 1 run per inning in the postseason and only given up 2 home runs in 17 innings and 7 runs in 17 innings.
Yeah, really, really good. He had a really good outing the first round, and that, Padres kind of teched him up a little bit when he went against his brother. I think it was the 3rd or 4th inning. He had a really bad inning, then that kind of raised up that a little bit. But back what I was saying, it was the Nationals. Houston's went in as a big favorite against the Nationals, lost it in 7, and then the Braves, they lost in 6, and it was due to their pitching.
In 7, though. In 7.
Right.
That's a flip of the coin. When you go to 6 or 7, you're telling me you're such an amazing ball club that it could go either way.
Yes, but they should have went that far. And same thing with this series. I think Dusty Baker has got it done. Their bullpen has been lights out, especially against the Yankees and all their big hitters.
You can't say enough good things about Dusty Baker.
Man, yeah. And I mean, still superstitious that he goes in one end of the dugout to the other for hits and outs. You know, it's just crazy. But as far as their starters, it's either, to me, I think it'd be Verlander. Like I was saying earlier, if there's somebody you want to be ready on short rest, or you might need to bring him back to pitch a game, he's the one. Him or Valdez is their top 2. They're at home. I can't imagine holding one of them back for the road guy. I think Verlander gets the start. And if anything, the game 2 guy might change, and they'll keep Valdez for the game 3 start on the road. But to me, I don't think Dusty Baker messes with their chemistry. He keeps it set, and it'll be Verlander Valdez for first 2 games.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say the Phillies shock the world and are like the Cubs and come out of the wild card. The newest version
of playoffs.
Playoff wild card. Because they actually did a series, and the reason I say the new version, if you haven't kept up, it was a 1-game play-in, where now the wild card is a 3-game play-in, and the Phillies have surprised at every step, and it's about who's peaking, and I feel that the Phillies are peaking. The Phillies can surprise any pitching staff with runs and hits and home runs.
Yep, I'm not on that page.
Yeah, James is not on that page, and that's fine. That's fine. When it comes to a defensive battle, it's all about who's pitching.
Yes,
and we talked about this. Mariano Rivera with the Yankees at the end of his career was an amazing closer. It wasn't because he was throwing 101 mile an hour heat at you. It was changeups, and it was off speeds and the cutter.
Yep.
And he kept the batters guessing. The Phillies have not faced the Astros pitching through the playoffs, but they faced some decent pitchers and got some great hits and some home runs when it needed to be done. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I say the Phillies shock them.
All right, I feel you. I'm taking the Astros 4-1. I think Philly again, if they get lucky, 1 game. But watching this staff and these playoffs, it's not like I saw last year. You know, where they had some bad games here and there. Even Verlander had a bad outing or 2 last season. I haven't seen, I mean, they did have one, was it game 1 or game 2 against Seattle? Their pitching staff didn't do great, but since that game, it's been lights out. I mean, they don't give up anything. So
They don't. The World Series starts Friday on Fox. First pitch at 7:03.
Yep. Friday and Saturday games, both 7 o'clock. Fox will host it. Go ahead and find that mute button unless you like the old Joe Buck commentary. Man. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know how much I will watch. Nothing against you, Dusty. Just not a big Stros fan as a Yankees fan, but I do think they're going to win.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people that like Bryce Harper, and I also know that there's a lot of people that don't like Bryce Harper. So it makes for an interesting matchup. So anything else you'd like to bring up? Any parting thoughts?
No, I think we just about covered everything today.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope the UNL volleyball team comes back around. They are playing this Saturday at home against Maryland. That's on Big Ten Plus. If you subscribe, that's a 7:30 match. November the 2nd, next Wednesday, in Lincoln versus Indiana. That's an 8 p.m. match on Big Ten Network. We have had fun doing this show. Again, Roger, our thoughts go out to you. Go watch some sports.